Hey everyone, my name is Christina Hupy, and I am a manager of education programs on the community relations team here at GitLab. I lead the GitLab for Education program where we enable educational institutions around the world to adopt and thrive with GitLab. I recently participated in the CEO Shadow program, and I am excited to share some of my key takeaways from the experience. In preparing for the experience, I reviewed the CEO Shadow Handbook. I watched a few of the takeaway videos. I also had a coffee chat with the current CEO Shadow at the time, who was going to be my buddy. In my case, that was Neil McCorson. And Neil had shared a great idea to create a personal project in GitLab to track ideas and set personal goals for the experience. I decided to give that a try and included several personal goals for the program. I thought it'd be a great way to start this chat with covering some of those. So first of all, my goal was to become a better listener, and second, to become a better communicator. I wanted to think more broadly about the wider company and connect the dots between things that were going on in different parts of the company and act on them. I also wanted to gain some exposure to different leadership styles and perspectives. I wanted to get better at advocating and negotiating, and I wanted to practice assuming positive intent. With these goals in mind, I jumped right in. It was a super exciting 2 weeks. My shadow rotation was split in two due to Sid's calendar and a few other factors, so I was 1 week on, 1 week off, and then 1 week on again. I'm going to start by covering some of the key logistical takeaways that I learned through the program. So the first thing that I did was I created a bookmark folder on the browser with everything right there that I would need in terms of links. So I had the CEO Shadow Handbook, CEO Shadow Issue Tracker, my own personal note stack, and a few other things that I just wanted to have right there easily accessible. And that was super helpful. I also created a CEO Shadow group in Slack and put all the relevant channels right there. So the CEO Shadow channel, private CEO Shadow channel, my CEO Shadow buddy, and then the CEO channel. And that allowed me to see those notifications at the top of my Slack channels and be able to respond to those and focus on those quickly. I also prepared my family and my home life ahead of time. I knew it would be a long day and I would not really be available to my family during the program. So I'm in the Eastern time zone and Citizen Pacific. So that made for a really long day for me, 11 to 9, if I followed Sid's day. And generally, I tried to squeeze in a few things before 11. So before I entered the program, I discussed the schedule with my kids and had great support from my husband. We picked 2 weeks that would where there weren't a lot of sports duties, so it was easier on my husband in terms of driving the kids around. We also said no to a few things that we normally would have said yes to ease the burden. It was also really easy for me to change my at-home schedule since my kids are older. They're 10 and 13, so they understood. I explained to them the value of the program and how important it was for me to participate and to give it my focus and my best. This made it really easy for them to be supportive and understand. I just want to say that said, GitLab is friends and family first. And so if you aren't able to block off the whole evening, you really don't need to. Attend what you can and be clear about your availability. Everybody should feel welcome to participate. I also did a little bit of food prep on the weekend heading into the week, and that really helped. I had quick, easy, filling meals on hand that didn't require any prep or cooking. Also made a few dinners ahead of time, so my husband Joe didn't have to cook every meal during the week. I also got to know my CEO buddy for both weeks, Neil and Sarah Bailey. We talked frequently, we iterated, and we got better over time at note-taking. So some of the things that really helped were rotating speakers. So if Sid was talking, I was recording Sid, and then Sarah was ready for the next line of whoever was going to answer Sid's question, and then we would just kind of leapfrog like that. Also, when Sid would make a suggestion and say, shadows, what do you think about adding this to the handbook? One of us would claim the DRI for that ask so that we could create the issue or the merge request and then collaborate from there. That way we avoided duplication of work and we leapfrog with that as well. So then the next request would be Sarah's and the one after that would be mine. And that was really helpful. Also, remember to take a break when Sid takes a break, or when he is talking with his family members. So he has those meetings scattered throughout the day. And that's a really good chance to get up, walk away, have a meal, take care of things on the home front. So those tips collectively really, really helped. Next, I want to share some takeaways about GitLab in general. GitLab's values are essential to our success as a company. I know we hear that all the time, but to see it in action is really an amazing experience. Our values were invoked in nearly every internal meeting I attended, ranging from large to small to one-on-ones to big e-group meetings or meetings with external teams. Our e-group has to make really tough decisions all the time, and some of these impact our team members and some impact our customers. And when these decisions are being made, GitLab's leadership considers our values and uses them regularly to help guide them through a decision. Transparency is a really super great example of that. The next key takeaway is that our leadership really cares about GitLab team members, our community, our customers, and generally other human beings. There were a few really touching moments throughout the week. One example was Sid was generally concerned about a team member and a personal struggle. He expressed empathy and was really wanted to help that person. Another good example were sometimes e-group members would, in one-on-ones or otherwise, would share, challenging moments they had in a meeting or throughout the week. And leaders have tough days too. And it was really great to see our e-group share these moments and then talk through them and support each other. It felt really good to see how much everyone cares. It was also really remarkable to see how much time Sid spends and effort on endeavors that are philanthropic or otherwise just focus on the improving lives of others. This was a really great part of the week. Next is contributing. So contributing is such an amazing experience. There were so many opportunities to add to the handbook and be a change agent at the company. This was definitely one of the most valuable aspects of the program. A few examples of the things that we worked on were we added high-level summaries of the product stages to the DevOps platform messaging house. We reworked the list of top 10 reasons to work at GitLab. That one was particularly fun because Sarah was the DRI on that, and Sid had asked us to add some links, and so Sarah and I worked together to find as many links as we could, and we were able to link almost every single word in the list in terms of why it's so great to work at GitLab. Another great example is a blog post that we wrote on how we use GitLab to incorporate private customer needs into a public product roadmap. We were in an external meeting with another CEO, and the CEO asked a really insightful question. Sid started walking through the answer, and by the end, he said, "Hey, Shadows, this is a really cool topic. We should write a blog post on it." So after the meeting, Neil and I went ahead and started looking at the handbook. We watched the recording again. We talked to a few experts, and within an hour, we had a blog post up and ready to hand over to the content team. I encourage you, if you take part in the program, to take advantage of those opportunities to contribute. The next piece that was really an interesting takeaway from me was learning about the organizational structure of GitLab and its operating model. This topic was really fascinating to me. GitLab is organized by function and is not a matrix organization. We even have a handbook entry called No Matrix Organization. As we scale, more and more challenges arise as a result of working in functions. Now, there's lots of benefits. You know who you're reporting to. That person, likely that team, has expertise in your area. You can really focus in on your OKRs and your KPIs. But again, as we scale and more cross-functional things bubble up, more and more challenges arise as a result of working in functions. So it was really fascinating to see these challenges arise during the week and then see how the chief of staff helped to bring these to Sid's attention and start to resolve them. And our values played a crucial role here. I think specifically having as many discussions asynchronously as possible in issues and in docs and in Slack. Never presenting in an internal meeting is really important as well. And then meet only when you need to discuss the proposal. I was able to witness this over the weeks and then put it into practice during the shadow program. And it was a super valuable experience to see how our leadership works this way and why, and how it allows us to resolve some of these challenges. In reflecting back on some of my personal goals, a few things stand out. So one of the goals was to think about more about the wider company and connect the dots. And this one was a really natural one for throughout the week. Several projects that I had been working on came up, and it was really great to see how my work and then the work of the community relations team impacted the wider company. I tend to be a very heads down worker and very outcome focused. And so I can end up staying in my tunnel, and seeing the connections at the e-group level was really a great inspiration to be more vocal about the work that we're doing, but also be more proactive about working cross-functionally across the company. The next takeaway of my personal goals was being a better listener, communicator, and negotiator kind of all went hand in hand. And picking up on the nuances for me is still a bit of a work in progress. So I'm a big picture thinker, and attention to detail and iteration is definitely a struggle for me. So several times during the shadow rotation, I was reminded how important it is to assume low context and provide the full context when you're working with other people, especially in asynchronous. So taking your time, following through, closing the loop, checking for accuracy, and asking questions when you aren't clear are really, really important. And then it was great practice to stay present during the week. This was a really good thing to work on. It was really tough to be a fly on the wall and not interject on topics, and also not start doing something else. So it was good to sit there and listen and think about, and then write my own reflections as we were going through some of the meetings. The last point that I'll touch on is feedback. And feedback is really valuable throughout the entire process. Expect to give feedback to others and receive feedback on how you're performing in the CEO shadow and what you're working on. And it was really empowering to see SID giving feedback and e-group members giving SID feedback, and everyone kind of always striving to get better. And so I think that that's a great message to leave the CEO Shadow program with as well. The CEO Shadow is an unbelievable opportunity. I cannot stress this enough. Take the opportunity. Your work can wait. It's really an amazing opportunity. And if you want to learn more, feel free to reach out and schedule a coffee chat. I am happy to talk about the program and answer any questions you have. Thanks for listening.